timing, obviously, this season when there's the Olympic break and basically you come right back and it's trade deadline day, so these meetings are probably more important now than they've ever been.
I think so, and I think it's going to be a weird schedule. I think you'll see some activity right before the freeze goes in when the Olympics commence, and then you'll see the normal frantic activity in the 3 days that we have after the Olympics. So it's not an ideal situation for the managers, but we're all in the same boat, and there's no sense whining about it. So.
How hard is your scouting staff work, given the draft selections you've got right now, in terms of unearthing a pretty good prospect that most likely is out there?
Well, the amateur guys, that's a different set of meetings. These guys are the pro guys, but like a lot of teams have their staffs do everything. And I think if that happens, you end up with people who are masters of nothing and that have a workable knowledge of players but can't isolate and make proper decisions. So we segregate our pro and amateur guys. Dave Poulin might cross over and look at amateur guys, but basically our pro guys watch pro hockey. And, there's 30 teams, and they all have farm teams, and they all have secondary farm teams, so you got to go watch a lot of players. And if you can steal a guy, like for an example, with Francois Beauchemin in Anaheim, that's a player that I didn't want. And our staff said, no, he can help us. And so we asked for him in the deal, the Fedorov deal. And obviously turned out to be a pretty good acquisition. That's right from Bob Murray. That's the assistant GM said this is the guy we have to have. So, and obviously I have a much different opinion of Bosch now, bringing him here. But at the time I went back and looked at my notes on when I watched Francois Beauchemin play, and he'd never done anything notable for me. But then you rely on your staff and you get him in the deal, and he ended up being a key part of a Stanley Cup team.
Have you established now whether you're a buyer or a seller? And if not, is there a kind of deadline date of when you'll decide?
No, if I could make a deal today that would propel us into the playoffs, I'm going to make it. That's still our goal. And obviously with each loss it seems more remote, but that's still our goal. And people can laugh all they want when they watch this interview, but that's our goal. That was our goal starting the season, and that's still our priority if we can do it. Now, we're preparing for both scenarios. We're preparing to be a buyer. We're preparing to be a seller. We've evaluated our internal assets, and now we're evaluating the assets of the teams that are likely to step up and offer something, so we're prepared. A lot of trades, the trade is one phone call, but the work that goes into it often takes months and typically weeks. So I think we're ready to go after these meetings.
There's another layer, because some of the guys that you might consider trading are also guys you might consider re-signing. So does that make it like doubly sort of involved?
Yes, and so we're dealing with that internal dynamic too. Who's going to sign, if they want to sign and stay here at a reasonable price, and we want to be part of the future. So.
Is it fair to say some people in your fraternity just can't help themselves at trade deadline day? They have to do something?
Well, I say this every year, we make more mistakes at the trade deadline as a group. We have a really solid group that run teams, the 30 managers, but we make more mistakes at trade deadline, I think, than we make the rest of the year.
Think more with your heart than your head sometimes?
Well, you think you need that last piece, and your coach is yelling at you, and the media is yelling at you, and so you go and make a deal that you wouldn't make under normal circumstances, but you think you're... And I think as a general manager, when you're close, you have to go for it. Like in a cap system, you look at the turnover in teams, and you look at how quickly some teams have been able to reload. When you get close, you better go for it. I mean... look back, and we were fortunate enough to win in Anaheim, and we went and got that last piece. We paid a horribly high price to get Chris Pronger, but it was a piece we needed, and the gamble paid off. So, I have other GMs that think they're in the hunt, and I give them all the same advice. If you think you're close and you're missing one piece, then go get it, because you don't know when you'll be back in the nets.